How we doing, UFL fam? It's Matthew with another episode of UFL Insiders. We're going to break down week 5, and I have a special guest in attendance tonight, Sean from the EndZone. How's it going, Sean?
It's going great. How are you?
Very good. It's good to see you, man. I know I was on your show probably, 4 or 5 months ago. Super cool to have you on and get some of your expertise, hear what you got to think about week 5.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I'm very excited.
So, man, for my listeners and people that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and kind of what you do on the EndZone channel on YouTube?
Yeah, so I started the EndZone in 2019. Back then it was called AAF Zone for the Alliance of American Football. And ever since, I've just been talking spring football and trying to cover and build growth and build fandom for the sport of spring football in general. So it's been a fun ride. We've been through it, spring football fans, since the Alliance of American Football. Then, of course, XFL 2020. And then, it just keeps happening. USFL, you got the spring league, you got XFL again, and all these fun ventures, fan-controlled football. But it's been a fun journey. It's been interesting, and I'm just hoping that the United Football League sticks.
Me as well. Let me ask you, so you started in AAF years. We're talking what, 2018, 2019?
Exactly. Yep. 2018-ish. And my channel started before that. Before that, I made highlight reels.
Gotcha.
So in middle school, I made my first highlight reel just for fun in my film class, and I posted it to my YouTube channel, and it got 50,000 views. It was college football highlights, and I was like, "Wow, this is I enjoy this." So I did a lot of highlight reels, and then when the Alliance American Football came out, I noticed nobody was talking about it on YouTube, so I had no mic, just my computer, the same computer that I'm using right now. And I just talked into a microphone about what I thought about the games and the players and things like that. So it's been a real journey.
That's awesome, man. That's a story right there. You've had to have seen a lot. I mean, just from a media standpoint, watching and dissecting. I mean, I was a fan then. Don't get me wrong, but this avenue right here is a little different than being a fan. So, wow. I know looking back at your content, dude, you have a ton of things. You got a lot of followers. You're very popular on YouTube. I mean, you have a good following. So, like I said, dude, super cool to have you on today.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And one thing I'll say for following all of these leagues, this United Football League is the best quality football I've seen so far, just in my personal opinion. Maybe XFL 2020 is the one. Yeah, so you got the PJ Walker jersey right behind you.
Oh yeah.
That's the one that could rival it, but I mean, it's been better than the USFL. It's definitely better than what the XFL under the Rock was in the new iteration, and it's far better than the Alliance of American Football. Now, there are teams in all those leagues that would easily compete, of course, but I mean, the worst team in this league would beat the worst teams in those leagues. You think of the Legends, you think of teams like the Vipers or the Guardians. You could go down the list of all the teams. But and then when you take the best teams in this league, St. Louis and this iteration of the Birmingham Stallions, they're pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, there's a lot of skill over there. I mean, on both of those teams you just named. And in terms of like the actual play, I agree 100%. It's much better. You know, we haven't seen too many games get away from us with the exception of this week. I feel like this week we had a couple that really got away from us. But for the most part, I mean, it's been competitive, man. It's been enjoyable. Now, I can't speak to things such as like jerseys and team, the things they do socially. You know, some of the other leagues were better in that note, but in terms of actual play, 100% agree with you there.
Yeah, and I'm just talking about the play. But yeah, 100%. I definitely agree.
Yes, sir. I miss my AAF jerseys. I don't know why, but man, those things ring in my ear still to this day, thinking about it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Sean, I mean, when you come in, what's kind of your goals in covering things? What do you kind of set out to do with your channel and with your content? What's kind of how do you handle it?
Yeah, so I do everything. I make all the thumbnails, I edit all the videos, I write everything. my whole thing is I just want to do what I think is fun. I don't really have like a strategy
I like
or
it.
like I mean, I think of my audience, of course, and try to gauge what people like, and I always ask my subscribers what they like and what they don't like. But I'm just trying to do what I think is fun, and I hope that people will listen out there and enjoy the content. Um, I'll say this: it's been an incredible opportunity. So after the first year of the USFL, they offered me an internship because of my channel. So I took a year off where I wasn't really able to post content. If you look at my YouTube, you'll see there's a gap. So I didn't get to cover the USFL or the XFL last year, although I watched. But yeah, I mean, it's given me so many opportunities and working in sports. So I had the incredible, amazing opportunity to work for the USFL last year in the communications department, and it was because of my YouTube channel. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's sweet, man. You can't really ask for much more than that. That's as close as you can get, right?
Exactly. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it was crazy.
For sure, for sure. Man, I'm jealous myself. Sometimes I feel lucky that I'm even able to cover the leagues because there's a lot of folks that don't get these opportunities that they're shut up very quickly. So it's good that I feel very good in the position I'm in. I can't imagine actually being inside and seeing things a little differently. But any way it goes, man, it just makes you a better creator. So that's the coolest part about all this.
Exactly. I learned so much.
So coming into week 5, how do you feel so far over the week? What's kind of a basic general overview of how you thought week 5 went?
So I thought week 5 was a perfect way to bring together the parity and the separation of the league between the top 4 teams and the bottom 4 teams. I do think that while this league, the talent level and the level of play has been superior to the other leagues, I think this league, there's a clear line that I can draw between the top teams. And if you're not named the Brahmas, the Stallions, the Battlehawks, or the Panthers, your odds of getting into the playoffs are very slim right now, just based off play and based off the way seeding has happened. And after this week, we're going to start having these elimination games for a lot of these teams, especially in the USFL division, because there's a little bit more separation because they may have the best team, but the bottom 2 teams are, they're really
Yeah,
bad.
they can't catch up mathematically.
Yeah,
So,
they just can't. Yeah, it's just the way the math works. And then, so I saw someone comment DC. We'll talk about DC later. I know that we're gonna discuss the
For
St.
sure.
Louis DC game, but DC's only wins are against some of the worst teams in the entire league. So that's all I'll say for now. We'll dive deeper into it, but I don't believe DC is in that section of the UFL.
Yeah, we'll talk about it soon. I don't want to say anything either because so originally I had different people coming in to break these games down. We had a couple cancellations, so me and you will cover those games exclusively. Christian Palantonio was supposed to be on. He actually had to work late tonight, so he will not be on. If you're listening, he will not be on. We'll try to get him on next week. But yeah, so he was going to actually discuss that game, and he's a huge DC guy. I was kind of wanting to see what he thought about it from the DC perspective, but hopefully we'll hear from him next week. But man, you just want to get into it, start breaking these games down?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so let's talk about game 1. San Antonio Brahmas at Arlington Renegades. San Antonio pulled this one off 25-15. I'm going to get XFLMikeG in here to help us discuss this. What's up, XFLMikeG? Oh, you got to unmute. Nope. There you are.
Yep, there you go. Sorry about that. Hey, guys. How's it going?
Pretty
good.
Hey,
Sean. Nice to see you. All right. Are we going to jump right into this?
Let's go, man.
Let's
What
go.
you got?
Okay.
What do you think about it? 25-15. San Antonio clearly was going to win this game, probably from the second quarter, I would say. I noticed.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, we started off aggressive in the first quarter. We converted a field goal to start off the scoring. It was very windy, and there was a lot of storms in the area. They had even announced prior to the game over the PA that in case the weather gets bad, where to seek shelter and things of that nature. Fortunately, there was no lightning. It only drizzled lightly, but there was a lot of wind. And I know that probably played havoc more than we think or that we realized on TV, watching the game. Watching the game. Scoring started off with Ryan Santoso, the mustache, getting a 40-yard field goal to kick off the starting. The next touchdown that the Brahmas scored was a 24-yard reception from Alize Mack, who filled in a little bit for Cody Latimer. Cody Latimer was listed probable all week. Cody only had 2 targets with 1 reception for 7 yards. Alize Mack had 3 catches, 1 for a touchdown and 36 yards. So at the end of the first quarter, it was 9-0. Again, San Antonio's going for that 1 point. They love to just go for 1 point. So it's like, if you're going to get it or you're not going to get it, at least go for 2. Be more aggressive, be more assertive. In the second quarter, Arlington scored on a 20-yard field goal. Taylor Rossellino was released. I think it was due to injury, not as much as performance. He was replaced by, and I don't have my notes. Sorry about that, guys. My system here for notes is not the ideal setup. I touched the screen to roll my notes, and it pulls up my keyboard, and I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna try to wing it here.
It's all good,
man. Second quarter, Arlington started off with a 29-yard field goal, which I do not have the gentleman's name on this particular note.
Let me see. I'll get it for you. Hold on.
I had it. I got it, and I can't find it. And I don't want to touch my screen because it'll freak out again.
Santoso?
No, not Santoso. For the guy who replaced Rossellino in Arlington.
Oh, for Arlington. Gotcha.
Jonathan Garibay. Sorry, my mic was on mute.
There you go. Yeah. I need to stop saying that. John Lovett scored on a 1-yard touchdown. He was stopped shy of the goal line. On further review, it kind of looks borderline whether he was actually stopped short or not. But he got in on the very next play. That actually happened twice, once on each end zone, where he was down in the inside the goal line, and it looked like he was stopped short. But it looked like he actually scored on both occasions. Both occasions were the exact same. He stopped short and scored again on the next play. Again, the 1 points were not good. And then we've got Luis Perez hitting J.P. Payton with a 52-yard field goal. I'm sorry, 52-yard reception. I am not on it today.
I was like, heck of a play.
Yeah, I am just not on it today. It's weird because I get totally focused and I'm focused. I know what I'm going to say. I know what I'm going to do. And then I get on live and I'm just not good at it.
It's a practiced art for sure.
Yeah, I need more practice for sure. J.P. Payton ended up with 119 yards. Luis Perez had 260, I believe, today for the lead the game in passing. 270. And I hate to read my notes while I'm doing this live. Let's see. So that left us with a score of 15-9 at halftime. It seemed like Arlington was in control of the game until about the third quarter, and it seems like they kind of let off the gas. Quentin Dormady ended up with 3 interceptions. Fortunately for us, only one of them turned out to be points. There was a blocked field goal, and then we recovered a fumble out of those 3 turnovers. So it could have been way, way worse. It could have even been a victory for Arlington had they managed to convert at least one of those into a touchdown.
Yep.
So it had a feeling of being a lot closer than it was in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, we really opened it up a little bit. Capping off, where's my fourth quarter? See, I erased my fourth quarter notes with this thing. So I do not have my notes for that.
San Antonio scored 10 points in the fourth quarter. Arlington didn't score anything. Got shut out that fourth quarter.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm totally lost. I'm sorry, Matt.
No, you're fine, man. I'll tell you some of the things that I really liked from this game. You saw a lot of Ellison. He came back. He was running the ball a lot, as well as Lovett, man. That dude is a beast for San Antonio. I hope to see him do some more down there.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a real good idea to platoon those guys because you want them healthy for the playoff run. You know, coaches always say it's not the best team that always wins the championship. It's the team that's healthiest going into the playoffs. And when you've got Lovett, McFarland, and now Ellison in the mix, rotating those guys, keeping them fresh. And if one has clicking on all cylinders, roll with him. Brahmas ended up with 190 yards rushing, and I believe he had 95 of those. That's Lovett.
Wow. Yep. On 13 attempts.
Yeah.
7.3 average.
So yeah, it was a great game. It was a great atmosphere to be at. I sat in one of the end zones with the Horns Forward podcast, and those guys get loud and they get rowdy. But they were very respectful. There was no curse words slipped. They're very aware of
rowdy.
They're very aware of the little ears, because some of them have children themselves, and they didn't want to leave that kind of impression of San Antonio.
Yes,
Matter of fact, some of the Renegades fans were cheering with us, and they were very enthused, and they got into the game, and they started going back and forth. So it was a really good environment, a great game to be at. I also got to meet DeMarcus. Hey, DeMarcus, he's dropping in a note there.
Yeah, while we are on the DeMarcus subject, let's play his clip. It's about 5 minutes long. He's going to tell you how the game went, kind of from the Arlington perspective and what he thinks. Now, guys at home listening, he has a little bit of audio issues, so you'll see the audio kind of pick up and drop, but he's still there. Just listen. It's just a little rougher. He's supposed to be getting a new microphone. But, yeah, I'm going to play this clip, and we'll come back to everything.
All right.
Sound good?
I figured San Antonio was going to outpace Arlington. We've seen flashes of high-powered type offenses from Arlington, but not consistently. And I figured San Antonio is going to come out guns blazing. They're going to stay ahead of the Renegades because not only do they have a better offense, but they've got a shutdown defense. So I wasn't expecting Arlington to win this game. I pretty much saw exactly what I thought I was going to see. Now, Arlington did get some decent pressure on San Antonio, but for the most part, you see San Antonio being able to do exactly what everybody else has been able to do against Arlington, which is exploit the middle. And you'll see that here in just a second. So not too many surprises from this game. Now, I will say that Arlington's run game was a touch more relevant than it usually is early on in the game. However, that wasn't enough to overcome a lot of the pressure they got on Perez. I mean, he was pretty much kind of moving around, running for his life for most of the game. But I did think that the running game at the beginning seemed to at least not be irrelevant. San Antonio's running game, on the other hand, very relevant. Again, runs right up the middle of the field. Okay, so just to kind of go over the box score a little bit from the game. As you can see, Arlington time of possession, 33 minutes to San Antonio, 26 minutes. Total plays, 63. Total yards, not really much of a big difference. 350 for San Antonio, 311 for Arlington. The yards per play, you start to see a little bit of difference there, 6.4 versus 4.9. But at the very bottom there, again, to repeat what I said before, you see the big difference there. 2 red zone TDs versus none. Big difference there. And that's despite both of the teams having 4 red zone attempts apiece. Now, in terms of passing, I didn't think that this was really like usual. This is not really a game where it's Luis Perez's fault. I thought the Houston game you could put on Perez, but most of these games you can't really put on him. He's kind of doing what he needs to do. I mean, he's got almost 100 more passing yards than Quentin Dormady did. 27 completions versus 19 completions. 6.8 yards per attempt versus 5.3. Both have 1 passing TD. However, I think right here in rushing is where you're going to see the difference here on the box score. 190 rushing yards for San Antonio versus 59. You can't put together a complete offense with that. There's no way you're going to be able to dominate the tempo of a game when your opponent can get 190 yards, and especially if those are well-placed yards, and then you can only get 54. And if you look at that, it's the same number of attempts. 24 attempts exactly for both teams. San Antonio's getting 190 of them. Arlington's only getting 59. 7.9 yards per carry versus 2.5 yards per carry. And notice the two conversions in the red zone for San Antonio, rushing TDs. If Arlington's able to put together an equivalent running game, this season doesn't look the way it does. I'm not saying they'd be undefeated, but 2-3 at least. When you look at the turnover differential here, 3 turnovers for San Antonio and 1 turnover for Arlington. When you have a game where you're able to put up almost 100 more passing yards, you dominate time of possession, and you're able to get 3 turnovers, those are games you're supposed to win. You got to win that game. But what typically happens is Arlington takes a while to get started, and then they fall flat late in the game. And you can see that in the score there. Nothing in the first quarter, nothing in the fourth quarter. All their points come either second quarter or third quarter, and outside of that, you're not really getting anything from them. So this team's got a little bit of soul searching to do. I want to give a shout out to XFLMikeG, RJ, Horns for a Podcast. We all had a good time at that game. On the way out to the car, XFLMikeG asked me, he said, "So, DeMarcus, where are the Renegades going from here?" And honestly, I can't tell you where they're going. I can tell you where they're not going. They're not going to the playoffs. So anyway, until next week, see you next time.
All right. So that was his clip. He didn't have one last week because he got too busy, but I mean, he is a faithful Arlington fan, I will say, and that breakdown was pretty good from his perspective. You can, and this is my honest opinion, that Arlington offense is there, but the defense has got to do something. I don't know what's happening out there. I can't see in their team, but it's obvious when the stats are aligning like they are, and you're still losing every game. That's coming down to bad decision making or just unlucky play. I don't really know.
Yeah, it may be a schematic issue. I don't know that Arlington did anything extraordinary to put any extra pressure on the Brahmas. But then again, one thing I found out later that our OC, AJ Smith, was highly motivated. And I didn't realize this, to get some revenge on the Renegades from the playoff loss last season.
Yeah, he said that's his team to take out, and they sure did, man. Sean, what do you think about all this, man? Some comments from you about the game.
Yeah, I mean, Arlington, for me, you can sum it up sort of like the Showboats. They're the two teams that lack the physicality along the offensive, defensive lines. You can talk about all the schemes you want, but you don't get a push on the offensive line. When you don't get a push on the defensive line, you can't tackle well. You're not going to win football games. And it's surprising that Bob Stoops hasn't figured it out for his team, because that's not something you'd expect from a Bob Stoops roster. And definitely, to me, it points back to coaching. You see DeMarcus's comment there. There's no reason this team should be 0-5. Now, they've had a lot of close games, right? And they've had a tough schedule to start off the season. They had to play Birmingham and St. Louis back to back. But now it just feels like it's falling off the rails. And you got to think in the locker room. Obviously, I'm not in the locker room. When you're 0-5, no locker room is going to be very positive. You're going to start to lose your way. So how do you instill that toughness and physicality? How do you begin to tackle well when you haven't all year? Every single team can run the football in Arlington. Memphis is probably – they can. Like Houston, you think of the worst teams in the entire league – they're all able to run the ball in Arlington, and that's not good. So that's, for me, and I said in the beginning of the year, like Luis Perez, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but he can't drop back and pass it 40 times a game. That's not him. That's not who he is. That's not who he's ever been in spring football, right? He's a guy who can take command over your offense, but you got to go in the I formation. You got to have play action, and you can't just air it out all day. You got to find some establishment and identity in the run game. And Arlington has not had that the entire season. So
let's see what you think before I let XFL Mike G go. Do we see this team getting a win this year? What do you guys think? Yes or no?
I think they will get at least one. I mean, they have to get one. I don't know what it's going to take to get there. I've been kind of brainstorming, and like I was talking to DeMarcus, it's like, what do they need to do? I think they should give Lindsey Scott, at very minimum, a drive, if not a complete quarter, if nothing else, as a change of pace, to switch it up, get those linemen moving, roll them out. You've got to work with what you got. If you don't have the most talented players, you've got to figure out a scheme to get them to utilize their strengths. And I really think that Lindsey Scott getting in there for at least an entire drive, or at least an entire quarter, if you put him in the game for one or two plays, the defense knows what's going on. They're going to pay extra attention. But if he's in on an extended drive or plays an entire quarter, he'll get settled down and they can kind of mix things up and you can catch the defense off guard. Yeah, it seems like sometimes when he comes in, the momentum just isn't there for him. And it's a weird time to put him in. You hear 21 Lindsey. That's what you hear. Yeah. And that means it's time. He's going. We know what's happening most of the time. It's almost like Taysom Hill for the Saints. Taysom comes in, he's running right or left typically 90% of the time. So, I agree. Yeah. Give that man some time. Let him work the field.
He's not a quarterback right now. He's a gadget.
Yeah.
Everybody in the stadium, you don't have to be a coach or a guru to diagnose what's going on. And when everybody in the stadium knows, and now it's different if you play physical football and you can line up in the I formation and everyone in the stadium knows that you're running the football. But if you can dominate the line of scrimmage and push and run the football and everyone knows it, it's different. But nothing's working. It's sometimes working with Scott. I don't want to say nothing is working because I think their primary weaknesses are along the defensive line. But I'll say this: week 7 is that week that you hope to get the win. They're hosting Memphis, so that's your best case scenario. And then other than that, week 10 at DC, possibly. But I mean, next week you've got Michigan. In week 8, San Antonio again. In week 9, St. Louis. So
tough.
Yeah, it's. There's not an easy road. You've already lost to Houston. So I think Memphis is your best bet.
Agreed.
Yes, let's talk about the attendance and TV numbers real quick. So we had 10,283 in attendance for the game in Arlington. Now the regional games were combined for 777,000 average TV viewers on Fox. I think, I had a tweet from Mike Mitchell. He said the regionalized UFL and Fox window this past Saturday peaked at 945,000 viewers from 10 to 10:13 ET. Sunday's afternoon Memphis/Michigan game on Fox peaked at 854K from 6 to 6:14. So with that number, I mean, are we surprised considering this was a regional game? And honestly, one of them was almost a complete blowout by the third quarter.
Solid numbers, I think, in my opinion. I mean, attendance-wise, it's going to be hard to pull a team that is on the brink of going 0-5, prior to coming in the game. I said at the beginning of the year, the league most likely hopes, and, this is from my past work, 750,000 averaging on all of your games. At the end of the season is where you want to be. So far, this has been the worst weeks, but you're going up against the NBA, right? And then the games just weren't they weren't that good. I mean, none of the games, when you talk about all the games this week, this was probably one of the more entertaining games, and it still wasn't that great. Attendance is a whole nother thing, that it is unique because they haven't had the marketing and things like that. Everything's been very, very last minute with the merger, but I'm not worried about the television numbers.
Yeah, I'm not either. Unless we saw it see it dip below like 300, 400. I think it's still favorable in every category. I think. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say on that note, one thing I discovered about not only the UFL, but the NBA as well. I live just outside of Austin, and Austin is a Dallas market. They show Mavericks games, and in this case, they advertise for the Renegades. And Austin is only an hour and a half away from San Antonio, and I was highly disappointed in that. If you're going to advertise and have these commercials on local Austin TV, you should be advertising for the team that's an hour and a half away, not for a team that's a 4-hour drive away. Plus San Antonio, and I got to say, it is more appealing right now because of their record.
Yeah. It was only 11% going out to everywhere else. Mm-hmm. So that was tough. But like I said last week, guys, if you have Fox Sports on anything, you can sign into the app and you can watch the games regardless, as long as they're on Fox, Yeah. So check that out if you're at home and you're kind of wondering what to do. Use the app. That's the Fox Sports app, okay? I went ahead and used my digital antenna that I hung up just to try to help the numbers out as well.
Now, as far as the in-game attendance, there was also a Ranger game. They played the Reds at 2:00 home. So there was a lot of traffic and a lot of people there, not necessarily for the game. But I think that number, that 10,000, considering there was a Rangers game right down the street, literally down the street, was pretty good. I was a little bit disappointed, and DeMarcus has brought this up, that there is not any advertising outside of Choctaw for the Renegades. RJ and I walked around pregame, and we were killing some time. We walked around the complete ballpark, and we stumbled into their team store, jerseys and shirts of that nature. There was no signage outside. I think there was signage inside, but there was, they could have put a sandwich board. They could have had something going, and it was dead in there. It was completely dead. They had some great merch. I got to meet some great people who actually, some of the women that worked there were telling me about the USFL and the UFL. One of the ladies that worked there, her friend is Kiki Chisholm's mother. So she was telling me all about the USFL and how he's now with Houston and to root for him and stuff. So I did enjoy that. But, we need to get the ball rolling and do some changes. We need to bring more attention for San Antonio, especially with their record, in the San Antonio market, the Austin market, and the South Central Texas market. Apparently, they were not showing. And what I mean by that is the area that's south of San Antonio all the way down to the border. That's traditionally a market that does whatever San Antonio is doing. And I believe instead of getting the Brahmas, they got the Houston-Birmingham telecast.
Gotcha. Sean, anything you want to add to that before we let Mike go?
Oh, no, I thought that was well put.
Me as well. Yeah, we all know that marketing is a weak point right now, but hopefully come next year we'll have plenty of time to be able to, or they'll have plenty of time to be able to do their thing, I honestly feel like all of us are doing our part as much as possible. Attending, doing shows, writing articles, whatever. And we're doing our end, so we're doing all we can to try to make it better. We really try to stick to positive news as well, unless it has to be discussed, unless something negative is an issue. So, Mike, I appreciate you, man. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sean, for coming on.
That's XFLMikeG, y'all. Check him out in the show notes. I'll have his links to the socials. Appreciate you, man. All right, so next game wasn't really a special one to write home about.
We're going over Birmingham.
Yeah, Birmingham Stallions 32, Houston Roughnecks 9. The Stallions visited Rice Stadium to try to to compete with the Roughnecks for the Roughnecks' first win. Now, me personally, I thought the first quarter was pretty good. First half was decent for this game. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't until the second half that the Stallions kind of outscored Houston. Going into the half, it was 26-9, but we did see a lot of fight from Houston, and we saw a lot of good things from the team. I mean, they didn't give up until that fourth quarter or so. Let me try to find their highlight video real quick, man, while I'm talking.
Yeah, I mean, for Houston, I don't understand why they refuse to run the ball with their offensive line's pass blocking woes. The run blocking isn't terrible. I mean, it's not horrible, but they just refuse to try and run the ball. And yes, their average was 2.6 yards per carry, but they didn't have very many carries at all. And coming into the game, the Houston staff was talking all the talk about how Mark Thompson is healthy. He's going to get 20 carries. He got 4 carries. And then TJ Pledger got 6 carries. So you're really not going to be able to even test out the waters of the run game. And that was the only way they were ever going to win this game. They were not going to beat Birmingham in a shootout. They had to slow the game down, run the football, and milk the clock. And that's exactly what didn't happen. We knew Birmingham was going to put up a lot of points, right? I mean, especially with Adrian Martinez at quarterback. But in Reed Sennett, he's not playing horrible. He's actually playing pretty good. Like, and you talk a lot about these old football leagues. Usually a team with 1 win, their quarterback play is completely horrendous. He's playing really well, but he shouldn't be throwing the football 38 times in a game. And then the offense only rushing 14 total times. 3 of those were Sennett's, and 1 of those was your tight end, Brandon Bowman. So for me, it's just, I don't understand what the goal of Houston football is. What are they trying to do? I don't get it. And I just don't think that they have a plan.
Yeah. I feel that 100%, especially coming into it. How they drafted was very running back strong. You thought that was going to be their identity. And here we're looking at total attempts, 10, 13, 14 total run attempts on the day for this game. And that's with Sennett and Bowman as well. Let me ask you this. Is Mark Thompson injured? Is that the issue? Or are we looking at some coaching stuff? I mean, that's the tough thing for me.
No, I think it's coaching. Curtis Johnson came out in a press media call and he said Mark Thompson was going to run it 20 times. Mark Thompson went to social media, and the first part I didn't agree with. He said the Roughnecks can win out and still push for the playoffs. But the second part I agree with. This is not a team that needs to air it out 90% of the time. That's what we've seen so far in pretty much every game. So for me, I don't understand what it is they're trying to accomplish. I don't get it. I've tried to understand it. I understand their offensive line hasn't played particularly well, but they've shown the ability in some games to run the football. And you have Mark Thompson. Like, you're not going to be able to tell off of 4 carries with the guy. Maybe he got hurt during the game, but TJ Pledger, 6 carries. And it doesn't make sense. And you went 6 for 14 on 3rd down. Now, 4th down, like early on, I thought they should have taken the points. They went 1 for 3 on 3rd down. But, maybe they understand. I don't hate it. I wouldn't have made that decision, but also I know it was windy, so that could have factored in. But you're not going to beat the Stallions with 36 rush yards. I mean, it's just, you're not going to do it. So I don't understand what they're trying to do. And they have fantastic wide receivers. Justin Hall, Kiki Chisholm, Ratliff Williams is solid. Grayson, Emmanuel. Like, I love all these guys. Isaiah Henney, they're loaded at wide receiver, but it's not worked for them. So I don't get what they're going to do.
Yeah, Chris said, who's the Roughnecks' number 1 wide receiver? I'd say Justin Hall from looking at it. He had the most yards this past game, and I think it was a season high for him as well. 93, is that right?
Between Kiki Chisholm and Justin Hall.
Yep. 11 receptions for Justin and then 7 for Kiki. But like you said, man, I mean, like, who is this team? And when Garantano gets back, are we going to be looking at a whole nother setup? Because it's going to be rough to kind of get in the rhythm with the quarterback that, has been hurt since week 2.
And if Garantano gets back, I'm going to definitely be questioning the coaching, because Sennett, I mean, he's played really well. And remember, this Houston team should have beaten DC, right? Like, Greg Williams, we'll talk more about him later, but he decided to have no safety on 4th down, and Bowman just doesn't, or was it Bowman or the other tight end? I don't think it was Sig. I think it was Bowman. Doesn't turn around and misses a game-winning touchdown pass, right? So, look, I think that Sennett's played very well. His mobility has helped the team out too, masking some of not really even masking. Pretty much everybody agrees this offensive line is terrible in their pass blocking. But again, they can run block a little more than what they're showing, I feel like, because you're only running it 10 times with your running backs. So that's just me, though.
Yeah, and a guy like Mark, I mean, he can hit a hole and be gone. He doesn't need much space. He just needs a lane to open, and he's out.
And he's a bruiser.
Yeah.
People thump right off of him. He is a very physical running back, and that helps. If your offensive line isn't as great, he's going to break those tackles. So maybe they're saving him. Maybe he tweets something during the game. But, I mean, he went to Twitter and said he should be running the ball more. I agree with him.
I do too, as well.
Birmingham, we knew this was going to be the outcome. I mean, them winning at least. Of course, they've had close games, and they're now 3-2 against Houston. But Birmingham's the better team. Not much analysis needed on that. They check all the boxes, and they don't have many weaknesses.
Agreed. And they're almost like a double-headed snake with the 2 QBs they have, both Corral and Martinez. Man, they're both just. They're both starters, and you could start either one. I think you'd come ahead in each game you're playing. Martinez had 138 yards on the ground. That's 9 attempts. Man, that's what I said when the season started, is as long as he can stay injury-free, nobody's going to stop him. Nobody, because Houston has a decent defensive front. They have the defense for Houston is solid. Chris Odom's a beast. But, yeah, there's not much you can do to stop this man.
No, he's too fast, and that's why Skip probably likes him a lot. He's the fastest guy to me in playmaker in the UFL. I know there's a lot of wide receivers, probably some corners who might disagree, but, I mean, Martinez, when he hits that gear, he's gone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, I had a question. JJ said, do you think they can do that against the Battlehawks?
Do what? So blow out the Battlehawks, or
I'm thinking that's what they mean.
No, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. The Battlehawks have gotten better as the season has gone on, and I think it's in 2 critical pieces. Well, I'd say 3. The wide receiver room keeps getting better and better because you add Ja'Cory Pearson. It's just more weapons for an already absurd wide receiver room, and then. I thought they really found a way to run the football. And then with Pita, Tamu Apinu, and just this whole this defensive line, Mike Rose, linebacker, like their defense has really stepped up this year. And I was worried in the Michigan game that they lost in week 1. I was like, oh, okay. So have they fixed anything on defense from last year? I think they have. They not only are they getting the production with the sacks and the tackles for loss, but what's even more important is the pressures. You saw that with Jordan Talman in his first interception. I think in 2 interceptions, those interceptions weren't really caused by insanely good coverage, although coverage was good and they made the plays, the secondary made the plays to make the interceptions, but it was caused by pressure on Jordan Talman. And that might not show up in the stat book, but that's an interception that the D-line gets. So I think they've been doing a fantastic job there.
Yes, sir. Agreed. So in terms of attendance, we had 6,285 present, and then we had that average of 777,000 again. This game
Yeah.
they turned off probably midway through and turned it on the other station or the other regional broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, blowout. Houston's not very good. 6,000 might be pretty decent for the way they've been playing this year.
Yes, sir.
It
I want to
looks better
say
on TV because of the way the stands are configured. Maybe they need to start playing in some local soccer stadiums. And if I were the UFL, I may try to do that if the stadium contracts are less expensive. I'd rather sell out the stadium and make it look awesome on TV and make it an awesome atmosphere than having a background full of concrete, and build up. Not for every team. You don't need that for the Battlehawks, and DC is already in a good spot. Hey, they're playing in a soccer stadium, and the rowdiness and the fan engagement is incredible.
Yeah, I'm hoping to visit there at some point because it looks awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So the last thing I want to leave off with is, I mean, Houston's a bad team, but I still don't think they're the worst team, in my opinion. And another thing that I was kind of confused about is Sinnett was took out. And while we're stopping, do you say Sinnett or Sinnett? How is it?
I say Sinnett.
Sinnett? Okay. So Sinnett was taken out, and then a pick was immediately thrown.
Yeah, by Henderson.
Yeah, I mean, it was Nolan just kind of tossed it up and it was gone. That was fourth quarter, so I figured they were just giving him some time. But I mean, we're not going to. I wouldn't think you would take Reed out. You would keep starting Reed right now. That would be my go.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. You're probably just like, it's fourth quarter. We're not going to win this game. Let's at least give Nolan some reps.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll on to game 3. Oh, this is rough for the DC Defenders. St. Louis Battlehawks 45, DC Defenders 12. The Battlehawks rolled on into Audi Field and gave the DC Defenders their first loss ever, as they were 10-0 at home since the start of them playing there. The Battlehawks were on a 3-game win streak, so it was a great thing for them, and they're looking very, very good right now, in my opinion. When the game started, McCarron was strip sacked, and I was kind of concerned at that point. I was thinking, oh, wow, this is going to be a back and forth battle, but it really did not end up being that. I mean, DC only scored on 2 plays. One was a Cameron Harris run, another one was a Kelvin Harmon pass, and that was in the first half. Come second half, they scored no points, 25 unanswered points. So I don't know, man. The Battlehawks this whole game, they had 3 interceptions, 2 blocked punts, a recovered fumble, and 2 turnovers on downs. The defense held them to 163 total yards, and that's the fewest the defenders have gotten this season.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you see the beginning of the game where Greg Williams was talking about how it was going to be a chess match between him and AJ McCarron? That looked like tic-tac-toe. I mean, that looked pretty easy for AJ McCarron. He completely tore them apart. Now, early on, it was like, oh, okay, maybe this Greg Williams pressure is going to hit home and continue. But it didn't. It did not. It was bad. They let up 45 points. And not only, talk about the AJ McCarron, but how about Jacob Sailors and him stepping up? Wayne Gallman had a nice game too. But, I was worried when Mateo Durant's been dealing with injuries. They just have guys step up. Hakeem Butler, and they were also dealing with a lot of injuries just across the board. But Hakeem Butler went off as well. It was just it was total domination after what felt like early on. I was like, okay, maybe we might have a decent game, but it didn't turn out that way. And it's crazy because St. Louis went 2 for 11 on third down. So DC, Greg Williams has talked a lot about how they have a great ability to stop teams on third down, and they did 2 for 11. But St. Louis still, they got 13 first downs, 280 total yards, and it just felt like I don't know. It was just unfair at times. It felt like St. Louis was the far superior team.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie to you. I thought this game was worse than the Houston Stallions game.
It's
Just in
fair.
my opinion,
Yeah.
I was not entertained watching this game whatsoever. No percentage after the halftime, at least. I mean, it was clear that. I mean, it's kind of like a bully holding a little kid's head, and they're swinging their arms, and they can't really do much, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, this is also just not a good matchup for DC. Their secondary has been poor all season, and we know St. Louis wants to air it out. They want to throw the football, whether it's through screens, short game, or breaking open the middle of the field with Butler, who kind of like reminds me of like Kyle Pitts. You know, he almost feels like a tight end because of how big he is, but he's also really fast and he can take it to the house. So, and then, you know, the defensive line, once again, just looking like it's improving every single game.
Yeah, Pita is a freaking beast in there, man. I mean,
He's so quick. He's so quick.
I mean, you can watch him in every play. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, I would be scared of lineman.
His first sack was very impressive with Jordan Teamu kind of escaping the pressure. Pita gets around the tackle and he's kind of playing with Jordan Teamu, like seeing where he goes, and then boom, he hits the trigger and he just dominates. It's fun to watch, man. He might be a little skinny, you know, to play in the NFL, but he is fast. He is so fast. He's just fun to watch.
Yes, sir. So Hakeem had 6 receptions for 147 yards with 2 touchdowns. His longest was that 80-yard play. That was a sweet play as well. And what you're seeing from St. Louis is they're really using the whole field. They'll pass to whoever each game. They're having different people become the primary receiver and other people that don't get balls at all. I mean, it's back and forth and back and forth. So I'm really liking this team. And I know before the season even started, man, they were projected to be one of the best just from who they had on the roster.
Yep.
So we had 16,085 people in attendance in DC at Audi Field. That average for the TV numbers was 688,000 TV viewers, and that game was on ESPN. This game started at 11 a.m. Central as well, if I remember correctly. So it was an early one.
Yeah. I mean, actually it's kind of good for ESPN. Hasn't been tracking as good of numbers as Fox, and that part of that is because Fox is, I guess, a more prominent sports or just channel in general. You know, it's one of the mainstays, and they also have a better broadcast, in my opinion. But 16,000 fans, you know, I love how DC keeps bringing that energy and continues to lead the way for everybody outside of St. Louis.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Agreed. Before we move on, I want to see what you think about this. So the attendance numbers are do you know, is the league getting those from ticket sales, or are they counting people that walk through the gates? Do you have any kind of background on
that? Leagues are very generous. We'll say that. They're very lenient.
I knew that.
Yeah.
I was just curious, man, considering you've been around them, because I know with the USFL, we didn't get those numbers, correct?
No, they were not made public. And they, you know, on broadcast, Kurt Menefee said like there are 30 or like 40,000 fans in Protective, and there were not. There were last year in like the opening game.
40,000 is a lot of fans, brother.
It's like, I don't know, because also part of the stadium is covered up by the tarps, you know, and it was not. There were plenty of holes in the crowd. I was like, how did you get which runner gave you those numbers? They embarrassed you on the broadcast.
Dude, that is funny. All right, let's move on to game 4, unless you got anything else on this one.
But no, and I don't have much on game 4 either.
No worries. I got Mike T. Bell coming to join the party. Mike, let's get you in here. What's up, my friend? How are you tonight?
Good to see you as always, Matthew. Hi, Sean. Nice to meet you.
So,
nice
Mike.
to meet you.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Go ahead, man. Break it down for us. Tell us what your version of this game was, because I know you are happy over there. You're smiling this week.
Absolutely. So if you've been following along the last 5 weeks, we've constantly talked about the Michigan Panthers' identity. Who are they going to be this week? It kind of feels like we've got a bipolar team on our hands, at least on offense. And the point of emphasis that Coach Nolan really stressed coming into this game is it's week 5. Can we finally start off the game fast? Can we start off the game with a score? Every single game before this, they've been down for the first 2 quarters, not scoring till late in the second half or second quarter usually. This time, Breland Speaks comes and helps get things going on the right track and strip sacks Troy Williams, who I was worried about coming into this game, as he really hurt the Panthers last year when he was part of the Pittsburgh Maulers. So I thought his game would really put us in trouble, and he did some good things. But it was just nice to see that we finally established a run game. We've been looking for that all 5 weeks. Week 5, we finally get something going. West Hills, you have the reigning USFL rushing champion finally getting a chance to carry the ball. And I know you guys talked about it earlier with Houston. Mark Thompson deserves these kind of carries as well. I got to put that out there.
For sure.
He could do the same thing. Colburn, who you saw in the Philadelphia Stars last year, he played in Coach Marcel's offense, and he got a nice touchdown after this, putting up the Panthers 13-0. And then we got Adonis Alexander, who was not a starter to start the season, getting an interception. And then we get to see Jake Bates' first miss of the year, 58-yarder. And I, for one, was stunned by that. I did see a clip of him hitting a 70-yarder outside. Because people were giving him some crap on social media that, he can't hit a kick outside. So I know he was feeling rough about that. I don't know if he was, overestimating the wind. I saw him doing some pointing and stuff when he missed that 58-yarder. But then right after that, we get a Levante Taylor strip, and Noah Dawkins almost takes it to the house. Troy Williams tracked him down. Otherwise, we get a defensive TD. That set up West Hills for his second touchdown of the game, making it 19-0. And then the Panthers do what the Panthers do. They like to keep teams in the games, help that product go. The previous 2 matchups were, kind of blowouts. So they decided, let's call cover 2 with 30 seconds to go. And Gibson misses his jam off of the line, doesn't give Nakua a chance to get over the top, and he can't catch Davis, as Davis hits, as according to the Real Analytics, 21.5 miles per hour on this 82-yard touchdown reception here, which I do want to point out matches what Sims did a couple weeks ago, 21.5. But this makes it 19-6, and we do get one more chance at a field goal before the half. Jake Bates misses another one. So we go, but you kind of sitting there thinking 19-6, halftime. We're finally in control of a ball game. Danny Etling looks so great in command of that offense, not forcing throws, not making turnovers. When he was running, he actually held on to the ball instead of coughing it up like he had the previous 2 games that he played. And got a nice red zone rushing touchdown in honor of EJ Perry, putting him up 25-6. And then Panthers do what Panthers do, get a muffed punt by Gavin Holmes, setting up the Showboats for an easy touchdown to Adams, making it 25-12. And then they march right back, let him in again, 25-18. And you're thinking to yourself, how do we keeping this team in the game? It's really just been big plays. It's big plays and mistakes by the Panthers. But luckily, they get back on track and get another West Hills touchdown, his 3rd of the day, making it 32-18. Kai Nakua seals it pretty much with a crazy interception that you saw Coach Nolan and him share a hug on the sideline. I did ask today on the media call if there was anything more to that, and that was a private moment between him and Coach Nolan. So it seems like they have a really good relationship. But we did get a Jake Bates 30-yarder, which was wild to see to close out the game, 35-18. 7 for 14 on third down. They really did a good job establishing the run game. We got to see a nice fake punt for the second week in a row with that same play with West Hills. Really helped get that ground game going. The left side of the line that I've talked about all year has been an issue, and in this game they held strong. Jarrett Horst looked really good on that left side, and they did a good job running the ball for 160 yards on the ground. And I have 5 total rushing touchdowns. So for the things that I talked about last week we need to clear up, we sure did clear up. So it was a nice win by the Panthers. And I'm looking very forward to watching them play the Defenders, because there's a lot of talk of out of those two teams who was better, and I think that would be a good matchup.
I think the Etling Panthers look a lot different than the Perry Panthers. It's a night and day difference, in my opinion.
I agree, and I wasn't totally expecting that. When they were getting blown out by the Brahmas, I kind of felt like he was just getting junk time.
Yep.
And for him to come out in this game and just continue what he was doing, he looked. I totally agree. He did look better than EJ Perry. EJ Perry just seems so rushed with his decisions. He's forcing throws this year. He's coming off of his second read so fast and then just running the ball. And I think that's kind of taken away from the run game as well. But Danny Etling just made great decisions all day. He didn't panic. He did have one of those bad sacks where you lose like 12 yards. But he didn't cough up the ball. So they did what they needed to do for sure.
Yes, sir. So we had 7,640 people in attendance in Memphis. We averaged 731,000 on TV on Fox. It's almost like these numbers are very close to what y'all are doing in Michigan at your home games.
Absolutely. I love seeing, there was a stat Mike Mitchell put out there that the Panthers are second in the average TV viewership. So that's nice to see. But yeah, the attendance, and I know that the Showboats tickets are $10. So I don't know what to do on that front. That does worry me. I want to do everything I can to help the league stay here because I love it. But I don't know what the answer is for these things. The only thing I can think of is, with kids' sports and things. I know there's some people that have been complaining that all the kids' sports are on the weekends. I mean, right down the street, we've got soccer tournaments galore on weekends. So I could see why, possibly attendance can suffer in that way. But yeah, it's disappointing. I want to see it. I want to see it get up there for sure.
Yeah, I know Memphis is one of those markets. It's tough because you've had like the AAF come through there, and they abandoned.
Memphis Express.
Yeah, and the team, the little fans that they had, they straight abandoned, and it's a weird time of year as well. But I don't think me and you or Sean are going to have the answers for that. We're doing the best we can on what we have right now for sure.
Winning would help.
Yeah, for sure.
They look bad. Their home games, they've just they play Birmingham next week.
Yep.
In Memphis.
Yeah, I
might
wonder
be
how
less fans for that one.
I was about to say, I wonder how that'll hurt them.
Maybe some Birmingham fans will travel up.
That's true.
It shouldn't be too far from them. When I went the second week, I was staying across the street, and there was a lot of people at the Liberty Bowl. A lot, thousands. And I'm thinking, oh hell yeah, this is a game. We got tailgates going, yada yada. So I walk over there early in the morning, and sure enough, it has nothing to do with the game, nothing to do with the teams playing. It's just random separate events.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Yep. And that you could have filled so much of that stadium up with those people there. But anyway,
It's wild to think like St. Louis, they lost their NFL team, but so they really rally around this team. And, so all these markets have lost, spring football teams in the past. And so I know there's a trust issue there, but it just feels like this is the time to really rally around the team in your area. And I do wish that there wasn't the hub model, though. I was talking to Matthew Colburn today on Media Call, and he was 2022 USFL Sportsman of the Year doing community events. And it's just, we were talking about how much we would love for him to be able to be in Detroit doing these kind of community events, not just down in Arlington.
There's a disconnect for sure. And that the XFL 2020 really showed you how you do that. You get in there and you just get active in the community. And they did not have enough time to do that. I mean, you couldn't have sent people in December when the merger was still occurring to promote and market this league when we didn't even know what teams were available for this league. So yeah. I totally get it, man. Hopefully they can hit the ground running on everything next year.
I am hopeful for next week, or I should say this weekend. The Panthers did have a booth. They had the mascot for the NFL draft. So 275,000 people rolling around there. Hopefully they sprung up some interest to increase their numbers to at least 10,000 this weekend.
Yes, sir. That win probably helped a lot as well, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick before we move on, I want to talk about Troy Williams. Sean, what do you think about him, man? I mean, coming in, I'm a big Case Cookus guy, and I do not think this team can afford to not play Case Cookus. So Troy actually did pretty good numbers-wise, but it seems like Case has a little bit more of that veteran mindset, can operate more in a situational capacity. That's just my 2 cents on it. But Sean, what do you think, man?
Yeah, so I'll try to get it in quick because my computer's on 9%, 8% right now. I mean, Case is one of the better quarterback talents in the entire league, but they just don't have a line to protect him. Jim Harbaugh said it best, like your biggest asset is the offensive line, because the offensive line doesn't depend on anything else. Everything else depends on the offensive line. And it's been crazy watching the Breakers from last year that boasted a fantastic offensive line. Now, it kind of got figured out in the second half of the season, but it was never this bad. I don't understand what happened with John DeFilippo, and he's going to have a long offseason to evaluate what's gone wrong, because it's not that they're getting beat on edge rushes like around the tackles and the guards and everything. The defensive lines are literally getting up in their pads and bull rushing them into the back of Case Cookus or Troy Williams. Like, it doesn't matter who you put back there. It's bad. I think they have the worst performing offensive line in the entire league. It's not only pass blocking. They can't run the football, and they have Darius Victor. Like, Darius Victor coming into the league was supposed to be the talk of the town. That was like, they're loaded on offense, but their offensive line can't perform. That's all that matters. And
understood.
That's all I can say.
I like it, man. It's a good take for sure. So, Panthers pulled it off, man. 35-18. Good luck to you next week, Mike. And hey, I know you'll be on for the next couple shows, but you're supposed to have a baby soon, right?
Absolutely. We're a ticking time bomb right now. But no one's gone early in the family, I guess. So, May 8th is the due date. So,
cool.
But I could see, being at halftime during the Arlington game, something happening, but we'll see.
Congrats.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, man. Same my way.
Thank
and
you,
interesting enough, that's my girlfriend's birthday also.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Small world, huh?
Yep.
I appreciate you, Mike, man. If you need anything, reach out and we'll talk again soon, sir.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. Appreciate you both.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. All right, Sean, your computer's about to croak on you. Go ahead and let you go if you're ready as well before I do a quick breakdown or preview of these Week 6 games. I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a good conversation. You're welcome anytime, dude. Seriously.
I can give you my quick predictions if you want. If we go through each game, I'll give you rapid fire. Sorry, my computer is so old that when it gets on StreamYard, it was on like 75% when I got on.
I can tell it's dying because you're getting all glitchy. All
Yeah,
right, so let's talk Saturday, May 4th. We got the Stallions at Showboats. That game's at
Birmingham.
11 a.m. Yeah, the Stallions, right? Birmingham Stallions at Memphis Showboats, 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern. It's
Yeah.
on ABC. We know this. What do you have anything big to say about this one?
Yeah, Birmingham.
Well, I think I'm losing you, Sean.
No, my computer's about to die, so
Yep.
I can go through real.
No, I lost. He's gone forever. We lost him. He died. His computer died, not him. Sorry. All right. So no worries. Hey, Sean, I appreciate you coming on tonight. Guys, I will include Sean's links in the notes. Check out his YouTube channel. He's got some really good content, some short form videos that are awesome. Seriously. And they're very popular as well. So check them out. So, like I said, Saturday, May 4th, we got the Birmingham Stallions at Memphis Showboats. That game's at 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern, and it's on ABC. Check it out. It's not regional. As the other was saying before he rolled out, the Showboats got a lot of work to do if they hope to compete with the Stallions right now, no doubt. The Stallions are coming through to win. I think they've had 11 straight wins so far since. Let me see. I've seen this on the UFL.com. They have a news ticker. It's just a document they do, and it's UFL 2024 Week 5 by the numbers. So the numbers after Week 5, 11. The number of games Birmingham has now won dating back to last spring in the USFL. The Stallions beat the Roughnecks on Saturday and are now 5-0 on the year. They could be the first team to clinch a playoff spot. So we know this. So if they win this next week against Memphis, they will clinch that playoff spot. So check that out. I mean, it's going to be as good as it can get. The other Saturday game we have is the Houston Roughnecks at St. Louis Battlehawks. They're packing up and heading to the Battle Dome. That game starts at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, and it's on Fox. This is almost what we just talked about with the last game. You know, the Roughnecks may have a shot with the Battlehawks, but that's going to be some very good scheming and play to keep up with this team, especially in the Battle Dome. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be rocking at least 35,000 with that huge win they just had. So check that one out, guys. I will be watching that one as well because I look forward to that. I miss my Roughnecks. I mean, it's not the same this year for me personally, as I was a Roughneck fan. Now I'm more of a fan of the whole shebang. But anyway. So we have two games Sunday. Sunday, May 5th, the Arlington Renegades go to the Michigan Panthers. That game's at 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, and it's on Fox as well. Both of the Sunday games are on Fox. I'm looking forward to this one. I believe the Renegades do have a chance to actually get a win here. But with the momentum from last week and the Panthers, I mean, it's going to be a good game, and I'm hoping that we have a shootout here. XFLMikeG said, join the Brahmas family. I was part of the Roughnecks family before they became the Brahmas family, sir. So our last game on Sunday, May 5th, the San Antonio Brahmas head to Audi Field to play the DC Defenders. That game takes place at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, and it's on Fox as well. If San Antonio can beat DC, I believe this puts them right there with St. Louis, and we're waiting for that game to happen so we can watch that. It's always good that DC has a redemption arc here, and it's at Audi Field, so we could see a pretty good game. I look forward to this one as well. I think this will be the best game of the week. It may just be my opinion, though. I'm a big fan of the San Antonio team. Quentin Dormady gives them a whole new outlook on plays, with the exception to the picks, of course. Mike Bell said, if the Roughnecks finish last in the UFL, can we bring back the gamblers? Oh boy. So yeah, guys, those are the 4 games. We got Birmingham Stallions at Memphis Showboats, 11 a.m. Central, Saturday, May 4th. Then we got the Houston Roughnecks at St. Louis Battlehawks, 2 p.m. Central, May 4th. Sunday, May 5th, we got Arlington Renegades at Michigan Panthers, 12 p.m. Central. Then Sunday, May 5th, we also have San Antonio Brahmas at DC Defenders at 3 p.m. Central. Don't forget about the lineup, guys. Remember, check out your Fox Sports app. If you have cable that has Fox, you should be able to log into the Fox Sports app regardless, okay? And that gives you different access to certain games and channels. So check that out. And if you guys need help, shoot me a message. I'm pretty, I'll talk to people all the time. If you need something, let me know. But you should be able to pick up all these games regardless if you have the channel also. The app, to me, was just easier to use. Another thing I want to note, before I close everything out, we have Eric. He's got a piece that I'm going to play, okay? And Rick 8-Bit, he does some retro Tecmo Bowl game summaries. So I'm going to play that real quick, and we'll talk a little bit more. I have a couple other points I want to make, but yeah, let's check this out real quick. Appreciate Rick 8-Bit for this piece. If I can find it. All right, here we go. All right, so 60-second summary from Rick 8-Bit. I'll include the link to that in the notes as well, guys. Check his channel out. He's got some cool stuff there, man. I enjoy it, really, to be honest with you. If you can do the emulator and check out the game, if you're techie enough, check that out. It's a good time. They've got a whole community built around this stuff. So it's not just, it's not just a standalone project. A lot of people do this. So Rick 8-Bit does a great job. He's part of the team. So appreciate you, Rick. And yeah, I'll try to share his stuff weekly if we get him. But like I said, check his YouTube and stuff out. Cool guy. So now I forgot my last subjects. That's my fault. Next week, check us out. We'll have Mark Nelson on Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Central. So check that out. May 7th. Should be a good time. Mark is the creator and the main guy behind UFL Board. If you don't know him already, you'll know him now. Big thanks to the contributors that came on tonight. Mike T. Bell, XFLMikeG. Appreciate you guys both for your content. Appreciate Sean as well. Thank you, Sean, for coming on. Big thanks to the UFL and UFLboard.com. Appreciate you, UFL, letting me cover the league and letting me talk about your league and summarize things and kind of just, do my due diligence and do the good Lord's work, as I always say. Thank you, UFL. UFL Board, I appreciate you as always. Guys, check them out for the most up-to-date UFL news there is without 1,000 pop-ups in your way. And I think that's it for me. No regional games this week, so that's a good thing for the TV numbers. Guys, check out the games even if you aren't watching. Even if it's not your team you're watching, check out the game and give it a shot. Also, keep in mind a lot of the numbers for the TV ratings, those aren't included in the app numbers aren't included with those numbers, okay? So there may be a big increase in some of those numbers regarding the app use, because I know most people use the app with the exception to a few when it comes to TV. I mean, most people I know now use apps for everything. So it'd be cool someday if we can see those numbers as well, because I'm curious how they line out. And that's just me personally. Like I said, if you are having trouble with the games, for the Fox games, you can always log into the Fox Sports app. Okay. I imagine it's the same for like ABC if you have ABC, but yeah, I got YouTube TV just to watch the games, and that's it. I'll get rid of it as soon as this is over. I don't like cable. Cable sucks for the most part. I'm a Saints fan. I'm local to the Saints, close by, so we get all the games off the antenna for free. So I use it a lot during the NFL season. So guys, yeah, I believe that's it for me. Check us out Tuesday. We may have a surprise episode coming up as well. Trying to gear myself up for it. So check in on social media for that. Give us a like, a follow, a share, a rating, a comment, whatever. I appreciate you watching if you watched through the whole episode. If you do watch this after the fact, thank you as well. As always, shoot me some feedback, questions, whatever. Try to answer, I promise. It is what it is, guys, and I know we are only as good as our community, so that's really why I try to put the community first. Appreciate DeMarcus as well for his clip. I didn't say thank you to DeMarcus. Thank you, DeMarcus, for that clip you submitted. I think I covered it all, guys. We're halfway through the regular season of the UFL. Trucking onward to week 6. Here we come. It's been a good time. Look forward to the future, seeing how things shape out. But yeah, just try to stay positive. I know the small complaints are there for a lot of things at the games, whether it be concessions or lines or I don't know. But I've heard a lot of different things and seen a lot of things in the discussion boards and on Facebook and Twitter. I understand the worry and concern about the leagues, but remember, you have to try to be a positive person about this and realize this was rushed and they did this for survival. Keep that in mind. It will get better in time, and I promise. But anywho, I'm Matthew Tyler. Give us a like, share, a follow. Thanks for listening. It's always a good time. Till next time, I will see you guys around. And yeah, don't forget about the games. Week 6, here we come. Peace out.
Go hard, go home, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home. Touchdown like an end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my